least in good news, chat. At least in good news. The man, the myth himself, Coefficient, won himself and decided to do the tuxedo version of ERB, tweeting out lovely jailbirds. And of course, there is Ko in his brand new cosplay. Fantastic. But even better, chat, even better. Even better. Coefficient was blessed with Best Girls Presents. As you guys know, Faith actually is Ko's wife. She actually walked away and said, "Are you kidding me? I went to go get Ko water and this happened." And look at Coefficient. Look how happy he is. He's like, "Hell yeah, that's Yagu." Like he's like so cheese. I love him. I love Ko so much. But literally, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's Yagu." He just looks so enamored. Oh my god. Yo, what's up, X? How are you? I don't think Ko has a VTuber model. I don't think so. Yeah, apparently you got to hang out, talk to Yagu a little bit, so I think that's absolutely amazing. So big congrats at everybody that made it to the concert. Looked like a great time. Yeah, Ko was awesome. He had me on his show one time, and you know, we've been like kind of like off and on friends, right? But I always look up to him. He is huge inspiration. He's a fantastic creator, so go give him some love. All right, guys. So now we are going to be talking about a pretty big situation that blew up almost about a week and a half ago. And this is about the streamer, RileyCS.
Hello,
if you guys need a little bit of a reminder, RileyCS was this VTuber right here that was accused of cheating in Battlefield 6. They said they were using some kind of aimbot, etc. Right, chat? Well, we finally have a video here from somebody that I find pretty reliable, Karl Jobst. Karl Jobst does a great job in deep diving on this. Yes, I know he's had a lot of downplaying of his expertise because of the Billy Mitchell stuff, but I want to talk more about his actual content about speedrunners and stuff like this. I think he does a fantastic job. You know, we did talk about this situation. We weren't really sure if Riley was cheating or not. Well, Karl actually went on to break down this situation. So we're going to talk about this situation here. What's interesting is watching this video, right? It seems to point to that Riley is not a cheater. But again, we're going to watch it. Let's take a look, guys. And finally, we can get a follow-up on this situation. Let's do it.
You absolute legends. For the past week and a half, there has been an insane battle raging on Twitter. On the 9th of August, the gamer RileyCS posted a Battlefield 6.
Chat, this blew up in such a big way, right? And unfortunately, people tried to steer the conversation a lot by being transphobic, which is horrible. And that, unfortunately, number one, that's horrible, right? And it cast a lot of really gross storm around this problem. Because people are being transphobic, but also on top of that, also took away from the conversation about actually what was going on, right? About the cheating. So hopefully in this video, we'll get to the bottom of it.
6 montage, and it's crazy. The aim is unbelievable. She quickly snaps back and forth between targets with a kind of ease and precision that is hard to take seriously. And at one point, she even snaps to a target that is hidden behind a giant rock. This gameplay has all the hallmarks of cheating: inhuman quickness when switching targets, snapping to enemies outside of her field of view, and even locking onto enemies behind objects. This seems like it's obviously fake, and it didn't take long for this to blow up, with hugely followed content creators retweeting Riley's post, calling out the fact that it's blatant cheating. And when I say
like, again, like
this
stuff like this, right? Like with
tweeting
tech
Riley's
like
post, calling out the
I mean, this is just like growing me to be a little girl. You did not need to say that at all. Like, why are you being transphobic? But on top of that, like, you could have just been like, you thought they were cheating, right? Like, this is so unnecessary, dude. Literal transphobia.
The fact that it's blatant cheating. And when
at least Karl is using the correct pronouns, right? Which is she, her, by the way.
Montage blew up, I really mean it. It has almost 100 million views, and I can't recall a single cheating scandal that has had this much attention, period. What's
Tectone
interesting
just
is
took
that
away
in
from the
spite of this
cheating
obviously
conversation,
fake
right?
montage, Riley has a ton of support. In one corner you have the large content creators proclaiming that this is the most obvious example of cheating ever, and in the other corner you have a ton of professional gamers and highly skilled aimers saying that it's legit, and both corners have massive amounts of proponents.
You know, I really, Omega, there was a point in time where I kind of thought Tectone is maybe a little misunderstood, and I thought he had a pretty good heart, right? Like, he said some stuff, but maybe it wasn't meant in the worst way, and he just came across too crass, right? But recently, nah, I'm like, no, dude, no, it's too much.
So not only does this seem to have garnered the most amount of attention out of any scandal I can recall, but it also appears to be the most divisive. And what's perplexing is that for all intents and purposes, RileyCS is a relative nobody, who appears to have just uploaded a montage of herself using
And
an
everybody
aimbot
just
in
lost their
unranked
mind.
Battlefield 6 beta games, a game in which apparently
Which
over
is good.
300,000
I mean, if they were not cheating, they deserve the fame, right?
other people have already been banned for cheating. So this really shouldn't even be a story. And yet, here we are. Unfortunately, regardless of whether or not RileyCS is actually cheating, I immediately realized there is a lot of misinformation being spread. So I figured that if you're going to have such a strong opinion either way, it should be based on correct information. So today, we are going to
I mean, Ryan, you can throw that out. That means nothing. Oh, they're part of a team that's known for cheating. Well, that doesn't mean those two people are, right? Unless you have proof that those two people are cheating. Just because a team is cheating doesn't mean automatically those other two people are cheating. So I'm going to throw that out, to be fair, right?
debunk the biggest myths and misconceptions around this quote-unquote cheating scandal. I really hope you enjoy. Now, legends, you could win this incredible one-of-a-kind gaming PC toaster
fuck
that
is
is
that?
being given away for free by
Yo,
today's
I want a
sponsor,
gaming
Signal
toaster.
RGB.
Bro, I want Centrea. Bro, I need to get Centrea, chat. It's literally Centrea.
Signal RGB syncs all of your RGB devices, whether it be your keyboard,
I need it.
LEDs,
I need
motherboard,
it, chat.
fans, everything, into
Centrea
one beautiful light show
in
that
my
reacts
house.
to your gameplay. Just imagine, it's 1 a.m. on a weekend, you are gaming in total darkness except for your monitor and this epic, colorful display.
That's
it
actually
really
really
is
nice.
a gamer's dream. And you can download Signal RGB.
I mean, I literally can't turn on my stuff without my lights, though, because I need light to do my VTubing because my camera relies on it, so...
for free and potentially
Big
win
sad.
this awesome gaming
Yeah,
PC
that's so
by
cool.
using the link in the
That's so
description.
cool.
Signal RGB supports thousands of devices
hard to
across
use?
over 100 brands. It's really easy to set up and it will automatically detect all of your connected devices. And as I said before, Signal RGB has crafted
Smart
this
computer
ridiculous
just for
gaming
everything.
PC out of a real toaster. And they are
I
giving
mean, it
it
looks
away
really
for
cool.
free. This
It's
is
got
a
a
fully
Stream Deck on the
functioning
front.
gaming PC that has really nice specs.
Yo, what's up, Phantomus? How are you? We were talking about stuff earlier. Thank you for your document, by the way.
I'm not gonna lie, I have
Thank you for the
entered the
work you
competition
put into it.
myself. I don't even know if I'm allowed to,
I mean, it
but I
looks
did
kinda
it
cool.
anyway. This is one of the coolest giveaways I've seen. And if you want to
Toast
win this
gaming.
masterpiece, just use my
I
link
mean,
in
look,
the
they just
description
fit it in
to
the
enter
toaster.
and
That's cool.
download Signal RGB for free. At the very least, your gaming setup will look
Centrea
cool as
coaching.
hell. Before going into the details, we have to be honest. These clips don't pass the smell test. To any reasonable observer, they appear to be fake. So I would not fault anyone.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just don't know enough about this kind of stuff to really have an opinion. I've watched like aimbots being used and cheaters and stuff like that, and I do see to a point where, you know, like it looks bad,
for
right?
thinking
So I
that
get
Riley is cheating. However, just because something appears to be fake to a reasonable
Right.
observer, that doesn't mean it is. This isn't
Exactly.
proof. As someone who has been in the speedrunning community for over 25 years, I can tell you from experience, there was a time that whenever a casual viewer watched a speedrun, they would say it's fake. The most famous example being Super Mario Bros., where the world record runs would get flooded with comments from people saying Mario should have been killed by a piranha plant. Nowadays, people are a lot more knowledgeable about speedrun.
Yeah, sadly, people, guys, I'll say this once and I'll say it again. If you do anything cool, or if you are a like popular person, right? People will try to invalidate you for almost any reason. Even if you're like the nicest person in the world, right? People will try to invalidate you regardless, whether you're popular or you do something really cool. There's always just naysayers, right? It's human nature, right? People want to invalidate your hard work sometimes. It's really sad, but it's true. Now, people should get called out if they cheat, right? That's fair. But if you're doing something really, really cool and amazing. You should not be invalidated for that, right? Yeah, Walk, I'm a big Karl fan. I like Karl, so...
runs, so this comes up a lot less often. But let me give you
Yeah,
one more
it's
speedrunning
crazy.
example that might relate to this RileyCS situation.
What's up, Don? How are you?
This is Suigi playing Super Mario 64. He
He's
is
like the
the
best
greatest
Mario
SM64 speedrunner of all time.
Yeah.
And this is the world record in the 120
Yeah,
star
he's
category.
insane.
So we have the greatest
I've heard of
player
him.
playing the greatest speedrun. And it takes him around 38 seconds to collect this star. Now watch this clip of a different person getting that same star.
Man, I
Not
sure love
only does this
glitches.
look stupid and fake, but it's 17 seconds quicker. So the obvious question should be, if this is real, why doesn't this person
Maybe
have
it's
the
Taz.
world record? They are clearly a better
might be
player just
Taz.
based on this comparison. You can see how this thought process might seem a bit silly in this context. Obviously, the player who did this insane strategy, known as Gib, just grinded this star for a long time to get that one clip. And while they obviously have an
Right.
incredible amount of skill, this one clip isn't indicative of how they would perform in a full game run, where you
Yeah, so basically what Karl is saying is this is a snapshot, right? He is doing something super insane in this one moment. But if you go and watch like Suigi, right? The full run, he's not doing like all insanity all the time. So for instance, like when you see a clip of Super Smash Bros., right? You see the clip in itself, you're like, oh my god, it was such a cool combo, right? But if you look at the entire match, they're not doing that the whole time.
need to be consistent. And what's
It's just a
funny is that
snapshot.
Gib doesn't even have a full game speedrun submitted. He specializes entirely on single star speedruns.
If I see somebody that's that good at FPS, why aren't you playing that? Why have you never played on any team? Why aren't you on like a Valorant team? Why aren't you playing professionally, competitive?
I mean, to play devil's advocate to that statement, right? They could be new, or they could just be an aim person. So like, there's people that play FPS, and there's people that do like the aim training, and they're two different sets of people, right? So like, I mean, just because they're really good, also maybe they don't want to. There's like a million reasons.
Competitively, why isn't that happening?
If you think Riley's
didn't it
clips
play Valorant?
indicate that she is good at FPS, so good that she should be a professional player, then you don't understand what makes someone good at FPS. If these clips are legitimate, the
'Cause
only thing they
they actually miss a lot if you
demonstrate
look.
is that she has good aim. But
Yeah,
how
she actually
reliable is
misses a
aim
lot.
as a predictor of a person's overall skill in FPS? Well, luckily, we have a real-world experiment that tells us. In 2023, Red Bull hosted an event called RileyCS, which was a competition based solely around aim.
Yeah, so there's these things that are like, they're not aim bots, it's like aim training, right? And you use the aim training to, you know, like pop the stuff super fast.
Sharing.
Absolutely, of course. Thank you for, you know, putting it all together, right? Really in this thing, right? Like you jump to points as fast as possible with aim training, and they have like competitions and stuff like that as well. So it's a totally separate skill set, right? Which does help with FPS. It does help you become better, snap to targets quicker, etc. But it's training. It's not the actual thing, right?
Competitors played various scenarios which only measured their ability to aim with a mouse. They had 8 people who qualified, and they put them against 8 esports professionals, which were invited by Red Bull. You would think the esports pros would win easily.
Nope.
I mean, it's their profession.
Nope.
But the results might shock you. In every single round, the lowest scoring non-professional scored higher than the highest scoring professional. The best aimer out of the pros couldn't beat
could just
the
be aim
worst
training.
aimer out of
Really,
the
really good at
amateurs.
it.
This was an in-person LAN event, so there was no chance for aimbots or hacks. The pros got stomped. So do pros just suck at aiming? If these other players are so good at aiming, why aren't they pro?
And this is easily explainable away, right? Like, if you're really good at aiming, why aren't you a pro FPS? Because there's more than just aiming in FPS.
Well, it's because there
You
is
know,
a lot more to
it's
being a
important,
pro
but-
than just having good aim. You need to
Yep.
have excellent game awareness, problem-solving ability, good communication, leadership, teamwork, the ability to predict enemy behavior, the
Yeah, it's
ability
controlled
to handle
environment,
pressure,
exactly.
being a likable person that people want.
Plus, like, when you're shooting the gun, right? It kind of like, travels a little bit.
To be on a team with, and many more skills that have nothing to do with aiming. And all of these skills take time to practice and develop. So while the pros might have a laundry list of around 10 things they need to excel at, an amateur who solely practices aim is going to be a better aimer. But this simply does not translate to overall gaming ability. The winner of Ready Check, Maddie, who is basically the undisputed GOAT of aiming, even admitted he just doesn't care about the other aspects of gameplay.
Before we get into this specific
Makes
performance, tell me
sense.
a bit about how you got into the aim training community and becoming even a coach at that.
I originally got into aim training to get good at Overwatch.
I mean, just wait, Censor, because this is like a 27-minute long
I'm
video.
not gonna lie, I was hard stuck like Diamond Masters before I got in aim training, and I was like, I want to get better aim, and I want to get better at Overwatch. But the more I played aim training, the more I realized like I'm really good at this, and I don't want to really focus that much on getting better at Overwatch and other aspects of the game. I want to aim train.
Yeah, like 7 for me too. Like, I am at a point in Super Smash Bros. Where if I invested the time, like legitimately, I'm not fucking around with this either. If I actually legitimately invested the time into the game, I could be really good. Like, I could be really, really good. But I have no interest in that. I literally don't care. So.
Riley is someone who specializes in
don't do it.
aiming. She has over 1,500 hours in the Kovacs Aim Trainer alone. She is on a team that specializes in aiming. If her aim is better than esports pros, that doesn't mean she could be a pro herself. There are no delusions of grandeur here. These clips are not supposed to show that Riley is amazing at FPS. In fact, just based on the gameplay itself, it's terrible. If you tried to play like this on a pro team, not only would you get kicked immediately,
it
but
was
the
the
other
7-day
team
ban,
members should be
time.
insulted. In this clip, Riley clearly sees several opponents, and yet doesn't engage or take cover. She completely ignores them and runs right out into the open. This is because she doesn't care about playing well, or playing effectively, or even winning. She just wants to get a good clip. And it would look really cool if she ran out into the middle of these group of players and took them all out. Like,
Basically, the argument here, Chad, is Riley is not consistently good. They're clip farming, right? Like, it's like going in Smash. You know, lots of people do this on Quick Play. They try to clip farm you, right? They just want to get their clip, and then they post on Twitter, and then have their 3 seconds of fame. You know, and that's kind of it, right? So they're not trying to consistently play well. They just want to clip to post on Twitter.
like some kind of action hero.
Yeah, it's
which
used
she
for training
does.
only. Sometimes
this is an
competition,
entirely
though, Wolf.
different style of play. Once inside the group of enemies, it basically just becomes a target switch scenario in an aim trainer, which aimers are experts at. But the only reason this would ever work is if the other players were complete scrubs and you got incredibly lucky.
Who's
Obviously,
Kovac?
in this case, the enemy wasn't paying attention, or they just suck. If you tried to do this against good players, you would get destroyed every time. In order to farm these clips, Riley has to intentionally ignore enemies, run out into the open, and pray she doesn't get spotted and killed while she attempts to chain a bunch of kills together by target switching. And indeed, even against scrubs, Riley gets killed way more often than not trying to get into these positions. These clips aren't indicative of what happens the vast majority of the time. These are highlights from hours of play. It's a selfish way of playing.
Exactly.
And the only point is to grind for hours and hours to get a few good clips that would look cool in a montage.
It's basically like chat. I played so many hours of Smash, and I have like maybe like 10 highlight clips I've ever used on my channel because I just never get really good ones. And when I do get good ones, it becomes a clip. But it's rare, right? So you have to farm for it. It's literally farming.
This is why the only thing these clips demonstrate is good aim, and Riley would fail at every other metric that makes a pro, at least based on these clips. When you watch a professional who is trying to play effectively and efficiently, it's completely different.
Yeah,
they take
exactly,
cover.
exactly,
They don't just
Squeak
run
Up.
out into the middle of a group of enemies. It's a lot more strategic, and most importantly, it's a lot more effective. And to be fair, I understand where a lot of people are coming from, and I understand the disdain for this kind of montage. If you believe that Riley is trying to prove that she is some kind of battlefield savant, that would be really pathetic and cringe. If you are under the impression that these clip montages are supposed to suggest that Riley is better than professionals, that would also be pathetic.
I don't think so, Shadow, because like a lot of people make the aimbots aim for their hips or their head, you know, like it's either one. And no, Strin, that's actually not the case. That's why we're watching this video, because you know, so many people don't really know what the actual like truth of this is. So it seems to be more indicative to they didn't cheat. But again, I'm gonna play the video.
But it's not the case. These montages are purely a form of artistic expression, and nothing more. They aren't supposed to suggest anything.
Right? Yeah,
But
totally. I totally
when
understand.
You have people
Sincere.
that are perceptually very, very good players, but they're not entering competitions and they're not winning competitions.
Right.
I generally assume that they're probably cheaters.
These
That's not true, because I will tell you, I know a ton, or at least used to know, a ton of Smash people that would not enter competitions and just farm clips. And then they would use the clips, you know, for YouTube or whatever, right? I mean, like, yeah, I think it's just bad faith take.
clips do not
I agree with you
suggest
there.
that Riley is good at FPS. They only demonstrate that she has good aim. And having
Yep.
really good aim is what happens when you specialize
When you
in
do
having
aim-
good aim.
yeah, aim training.
In fact, many people who are not professionals have far better aim than most pros. But at the end of the day, when it comes to
Yeah,
competitive
exactly. It's more like entertainment as opposed to like, you know, being like, oh, I'm so good at the game, right? Like, you get a cool combo, people automatically think you're good.
V-sports, that really doesn't mean much. It's the equivalent of a Taekwondo exhibition. Sure, it looks cool, and it takes a lot of skill, but try it in a real fight and you'll learn pretty quickly that flashy kicks just don't work against a competent opponent. And if
I know,
anything,
Skull, I
they will
miss this
just get
too.
you into a world of trouble.
Yeah, Nintendo kind of killed the
They
competitive
snapped
scene.
to a player through a wall and traced their movement through a wall. And the internet is coping so hard, they said, you know there's a mini-map, right? Yeah.
This is definitely the clip that has raised the most eyebrows. Riley flicks 90 degrees to the left and shoots at a rock, and then when she strafes around, an enemy is there. Tectone is correct that the code for this is a minimap, and indeed, a player is visible on the minimap in that location. So based on the minimap, it would make sense to snap to that direction.
They perfectly
I mean, I'm gonna be real, that makes sense to me.
tracked their verticality, their horizontal degree, and traced them through a
Then why did
Unless
they,
they have-
here's my question, why did they shoot?
X-ray vision. You can't see someone through a rock. You can't trace their movement through a rock.
Yeah, but like you've got to admit, I mean, we can clearly see what's sus about this, right?
Yeah,
Is
you know,
that
like,
he locks.
they shot, but they didn't, like, if they were, why would they shoot unless they're expecting to actually hit them, you know? Why did they shoot the rock? That's my question about it, you know?
onto this player that's behind the wall.
Frame perfect snap.
It-
That's actually, you want to know, YOLO, there's keybinds so you can use to do quick, flips, like a 180s.
Definitely appears sus. But what I don't understand is why people say that Riley locked onto an enemy she couldn't see through a wall and tracked them perfectly. This is an oxymoron. Not because it's impossible that Riley could be tracking someone through a wall, but because it's impossible to tell. If you can't see what is behind the rock, you cannot tell if anything is being
Yeah,
locked
there's, like,
onto,
keybinds for
nor
that.
can you tell if anything is being tracked. You cannot have it both ways. If we try to do a forensic investigation into what Riley was possibly aiming at, we find there was no one there. This is where she
She's too
snaps
far to the right.
which is to the left.
Yeah, like she's aiming over here, and a person's like here. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. It seems like they like, so like if you did like a 180 keybind and went around, and then you're supposed to like you flick past and flick, because you know when you flick. So for anybody that doesn't know FPS, what you do is like, let's say this is a target, right? You flick past and back. You go like this, right? You flick to get back to your target. Like obviously like really fast. I'm not good at it, but you see what I mean, right? Yeah, sure. To be fair, you would shoot if you're expecting an aimbot to bring you to a target, Shugs. Maybe so, Naman Smith. Maybe they didn't know the rock was there, right? I don't know. This one's hard to tell.
Left of the C, and when she peeks to the corner, the
do
enemies
y'all
are all
think?
on the right. There is definitely a downed enemy in the direction Riley snapped to the left of the C, but not only can we not determine if the player was downed at that moment, but the verticality appears to be way off.
I mean, they do
Riley.
they do a lot of she does a lot of aim training, right? So that would make sense for them to snap that quickly and be that good at it.
Was aiming approximately around here, and if we go in that straight line, where do we end up? We end up right here. And if you look, this is around the area that's enemy 4 died.
If Riley did snap to this downed enemy, she seems to be aiming way too high. Even when Riley peeks out from the rock, she isn't locked
Well,
onto anybody.
Chase was like cheating, it's cheating, it always is. But like, is it? Because I'm gonna be honest, like from the things that we've seen, it doesn't look that clear.
And the closest enemy to her crosshair was moving, so we don't really know exactly where he was. The fact that an enemy was close to the crosshair when Riley peeked makes it seem like she was locked on the entire time, but unfortunately, we really have no way of knowing. At best, what we can say for certain is that she snapped to the direction of a player. We cannot say if anything was locked onto, and we cannot say if anything was tracked perfectly. This means it's up to you whether you think it's plausible that Riley could snap to that direction so well based on the enemy's location on the minimap. Personally, I don't find this to be that crazy. Riley turned to the direction of someone on the minimap, and there were a total of 4 enemies behind that rock. One here, one here, one here, and the 4th is the downed enemy on the left.
Maybe they were aiming towards a downed enemy, you know? Hey everybody, just a quick reminder, if you've been enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me a ton. Okay, back to the video. So when I get a freeze proc 3 times in a round, Ice Beam during the Nuzlocke, you're a cheater! You're a cheater! How dare you, AI, you cheating! Cheater, Pokemon cheater, fuck, cheat face, cheater! Clearly, you're a cheater.
So with 4 enemies behind that rock, it isn't shocking that her crosshair ended up in the general vicinity of one of them.
That's okay, Kiri. As long as you're like, look, it happens that people accidentally, like, misgender somebody. That's okay, as long as you're, you know, open to correcting yourself, no problem. You know, like, it happens, right? It happens. Let's be realistic. Like, it happens, and that's okay. As long as you're willing to, you know, listen to people and meet people in the middle and respect their pronouns, there's nothing wrong with that.
To a rock, although I will say before, if you go back, I just want to break this down. They're on the radar right here at the bottom left. They're on the fucking
like
radar.
they correct
so I
back.
understand why they snapped there.
So
but
that's
I
why
feel
I'm kind of
if you're
like
shooting straight.
Looks okay to
you're
me.
looking there. You're not looking at the radar, so how they know exactly where to snap to is kind of crazy.
This is a reasonable thing to bring up. Is it really possible to simultaneously aim on an enemy this precisely and keep track of the minimap? Well, in this case, Riley didn't need to, though you would never know this just based on the montage, because the edit cuts the clip right when she engages. But if you look at the original footage, the enemy that appears on the minimap is spotted and on the minimap for at least 8 seconds before...
You're okay. I really don't... I really don't, like... when people accuse people of being transphobic for a genuine mistake of misgendering somebody. Sorry, I went out for a second. I lost my sound. Focus right moment. Focus right moment. Yeah. Focus right moment. Yeah, I hate when it does that. Are y'all good? Can you hear me?
Hi, Elara. How are you?
Yeah, can y'all hear me okay?
I figured you'd cover this eventually. I hope everything
Awesome,
is going
awesome.
well. I can't stay
No,
for
it was
too
my
long as I have
Focusrite.
to go to my mother's
It was
house
what my
in a couple
microphone runs
minutes,
through.
But I'm curious to see your take on this.
Oh, yeah. Look, we're watching a video, but yeah, no, my Focusrite, you know, it's plugged in my computer. It's what my microphone runs through. Sometimes it kind of like poops itself, and then no, I didn't hit my mic. It poops itself, so like I send my audio through my Focusrite, so that's how I like listen to everything going on, right? And it just like poops itself sometimes. Oh, okay, all right, bye. I got you. Well, lots more coming next week. I'm mauling Rogue. Okay, thank you for the information. I appreciate it. Going back to what I was saying though, Kiri, I really don't like when people accuse people of being transphobic because they make a genuine mistake, right? Like, I am very much want to respect people's pronouns. And if I get it wrong, just tell me and I'll correct myself and, we high five each other and move on. Yeah, really sorry about that, guys. I don't know what it is, but it's just focus, right? In particular, always like does this shit every few days. I've had a webcam mic for years and never had a problem. Great time, not a professional streamer or content creator. I'm at least for Zoom meetings, but yeah, because Red, I remember I'm using a Shure SM7B, right? Like I'm using a professional microphone, so it's just not that easy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's definitely like a fine line that needs to be tread, right? Anyway, let's get back to talking about Riley.
Before the clip even starts, Riley knew the person was there well ahead of time, and in fact, she could see there were multiple people heading to that position. Snapping to that direction was completely logical here.
Oh no! Well, I haven't had the pops in my stream in a while, so I hope yours isn't doing that now too. Nah, you're good. You're good.
Having a great gaming chair and good FPS can allow you to snap back 180 degrees and then trace an opponent through a wall for 8 shots before you realize, oh, your bullets aren't hitting, and then you go, oh, oopsie doodly. Yeah.
But if the enemy wasn't visible, why did Riley shoot? Well, it's because she was already shooting. The best clips are the ones where you don't stop shooting. You just switch from one target to the next and try to get as many kills as you can in a single magazine without stopping.
Okay, that's actually true as fuck. I'm not even gonna lie. That actually makes a lot of sense. Literally. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
It's basically spray and pray. In this case, the rock is more than anything a red herring. It was already a flick to an enemy completely off screen, so the rock was inconsequential. Clip farmers do not check to see if their
she misses a lot, Strin, like a lot, if you watch.
Aim is perfect before shooting. They shoot first and hope they hit something. 9 times out of 10,
it's like
they
Smash
don't,
combos.
or they die trying. But
You throw it out there
you'll
and
never
hope it
see
hits.
those clips uploaded to Twitter. We also never see this type of instant snapping to enemies through walls in any other clips, and no one has been able to produce another example of this happening, despite Riley streaming many hours every day. I would posit that if this instant snapping to enemies through walls was a feature of an aimbot, you would see it happen at least one more time.
I just think they're really good with aim training, and they were able to bring this over to Battlefield 6.
I haven't seen an explanation as to why it only happens a single time in this entire montage or in any stream. Even the people who seem to be the most interested in proving Riley cheated disagree on how she did it. The channel called...
I mean, again, like, and Dante, I'm hearing you out, right? But I want you to know, I know how aimbots work, right? Because they snap. But nobody's been able to prove that. You know, like, where's the snapping to the hip or the head? Stuff like that, right?
Who seems to be very knowledgeable on aimbots, and to be honest, a lot more knowledgeable than most people I see talking on this matter, claims that the snap to the rock was not cheating at all, and that the aimbot is only activated when Riley shoots and the target is within a certain field of view.
The aimbot didn't get a lock. Let me explain why this happened. The aimbot only works if the enemy is inside its field of view.
Yeah, it might be just a mini-map thing.
Because the enemy was outside the FOV, it didn't lock on, even though he is firing his weapon. The snapping isn't the cheat. The aimbot only takes over once the weapon fires. In this clip, watch the first 5 bullets. They all miss completely, because the enemy is strafing left and the aimbot's field of view isn't on the target. That forces Riley to miss his shots. On the 6th shot, the target moves into the field of view, and that's when the aimbot's micro-adjustment takes over. I mean, it doesn't get any more blatant than this. If you can't see aimbot by now, then you are deliberately lying to yourself.
In that last clip, he shows the aimbot supposedly working, but when I view the actual footage and examine the next enemies in the exact same clip, the aimbot seems to behave differently. Riley is shooting here, and the enemy is within the field of view, but the crosshair drifts off target. So either she is toggling the aimbot between enemies, or this analysis seems to be cherry-picked. Call of Shame has also said...
I think what Call of Shame said is like... I think it was just one instance, but it doesn't talk about all the rest, right?
This particular clip is both not cheating and also obviously cheated. Here he shows the aimbot supposedly working in this clip, which is the first clip in Riley's montage. But previously he had said the exact same clip wasn't cheating, and was inserted into the montage to give defenders plausible deniability.
Breaking down the first part of this montage, you'll see he's snapping all over the place. At first glance, this creates the illusion that he's cheating. I mean, you'd think that, right? When you slow it down, you can see that this person is actually snapping past the targets and correcting their own bad aim. They're snapping to nothing. And no, that's not cheating. Cheaters often include clips like this in their montages so that absolute morons can try to break it down and say, see, he's not cheating.
Pointing out contradictions isn't proof that Riley isn't cheating, and Call of Shame could be correct that
it just
Riley
looks like
is using a sophisticated aimbot of some kind. Apparently he is working on software to detect aimbots in Battlefield 6, which I'm very interested to see.
Yeah, that'd be really
However,
cool, actually.
At best, this just highlights that people's opinions are changing from day to day, and at worst, it shows that people are making claims too quickly without adequate investigation. If even the cheating experts don't agree on what cheat is being used, or which parts of the clips are cheated, we obviously have issues. People also pointed out that after the rock flick, Riley's crosshair jumps extremely quickly. But again, it has also been mixed in with misinformation.
And
yeah, I don't even know what that
once they get
means.
this kill, it snaps again. Right to that guy right there. You guys see that little snappage?
For example, many people claim this snap is locking onto an enemy, when it clearly jumps to nothing. I have seen technical explanations as to how this can happen, and apparently players can do it at will. If the snap went to an enemy, I think it would be a lot more dubious than it is. But given that it didn't, and the phenomenon is reproducible, I don't see how this is any proof of cheating. Another clip that was seen as proof of cheating was this—
It's kind of like, when I keep watching it, it's like they miss a lot of shots. You know what I mean? Like there's enough flaw in there that I'm like, you know.
Clip in Battlefield 5, where Riley flicks to players who appear to be invisible due to smoke.
Alright, see, have a good one, Batman.
Somehow Riley knew in that smoke that there was someone in it and they were laying down. You can't see it, but Riley's God-given transcenses that transcend being human. At this point, it's a huge LARP, hiding behind the clear
okay, I'm not gonna lie, that's a little sus. That's a little sus.
We're watching someone literally use cheats and hacks and go, no,
I don't know, though. Let me see the full context.
And when I viewed this clip on Twitter, it made no sense to me. The best excuse
right
I had
there.
heard was that sometimes people get lost.
Wait, what? No, he's right there. You can see it. He's literally right there. Hold on. But look.
Made no sense
He
to
walks
me.
in the room. He's right there. You can see him. Yeah, he's literally right there. Wait, people are mad about this? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's sus to shoot through smoke, right? But he's literally right there. Yeah, he's right there. It's cheating. What do you mean? What do you mean? He's right there. You can see it. Where do you have eyeballs? Even I would see that shit.
The best excuse I had heard was that sometimes people get lucky, and I can understand
Yeah,
why
you
this
can
would
see his
also cause
body.
a lot of people to think Riley is cheating.
Yeah, he
However,
came out of the
the
smoke.
real explanation is far more simple. When I view this clip on Twitter, I can't see an enemy here, but the Twitter version is terrible quality and highly compressed. Luckily, Riley
sense.
still has the original video in high quality and sent it to me, and when I view the original,
Concerned. You keep typing the same sentence over and over, but you haven't watched the full video. So like, bro, like, chill out. Watch the video, and then we can discuss that.
the enemy is clearly visible.
And I already told
and
you
when
he
you
does.
see the enemy,
He
you
already- I
realize
already
the
told you he
flick
does.
wasn't even accurate, and it took multiple shots before Riley adjusted. So when viewing the actual
Wow,
footage, you see
1400
that not
hours.
only can you see the enemy clearly, but the snap was completely off target. Both narratives surrounding this clip are simply untrue. In truth, the fact
Interesting.
that so much of this debate has been happening on Twitter is probably causing way more problems than otherwise.
Oh no, Auntie! Auntie, you made it in the Karl Jobst video. Oh no. I'm be real, this is why I don't say anything until I do my research.
As necessary. Twitter doesn't even offer frame advance on its videos, and the video quality is always far worse than reality. So a lot of the time, it's very hard to tell what happened. I've seen so many comments from people
Oh,
saying
no,
that
Auntie.
Riley perfectly snaps onto enemies.
It's crazy, bro, because some parts look insane, like this one. It's perfect.
I just think that
But when I
do,
view the footage
aim
myself
training.
and slow it down, that's almost never the case. There is usually an initial flick that misses the target, and then there is a
I
micro
think it's because Twitter, our quality is so shit that people were like, wait, how do they do that?
adjustment. This has been the standard technique for switching targets for years.
The core technique involves a flick, a fast,
Yeah, you go
explosive,
past
snappy motion
and
usually
recorrect.
performed with the forearm that produces a straight line in the direction of the intended target.
God, I even know that.
This rigid snap is followed immediately after by a microcorrection, a much more narrow and smoother adjustment to correct either the overflick or underflick distance away from the target.
It feels like
The
people overly
microcorrection is
condemned
followed by
here.
the target confirmation, a very brief, almost instantaneous check to see that you are on target and can take the shot. This is the foundation of static clicking, and it is what allowed Bardoz to reach such high accuracy thresholds.
In response to the fact that Riley usually misses her initial flick, people will say that you can insert inaccuracy into aimbots to mask their impact. The channel link in Margison shows a great example of an entirely automated aimbot that appears almost identical to a human playing. So this is certainly possible. Essentially, the argument is that Riley missing isn't evidence of not using an aimbot, because you can make an aimbot miss on purpose. Or at the very least, you can make it randomly target different parts of the enemy to vary its effect.
Right.
Recently, the player Shimmy was exposed for using an aimbot because it consistently snapped to the
Bro,
same...
but Shimmy's was really bad.
I have
It's really, really bad.
and admittedly biased opinion on this topic that is interfering with
Alright,
my
have a good one,
ability
man.
to watch.
See you around.
Hope the rest of stream
Yeah,
goes
this is,
well.
bro, Shimmy was like blatantly though.
Same part of the enemy's body. And in his case, the snap was very obvious,
Yeah,
as was the
you can
inhuman
see
tracking.
Shimmy's.
In Riley's case, there doesn't appear to be any rhyme or rhythm to where the aimbot is targeting, and it often drifts off target completely.
gonna hit.
If it's true that aimbots
Nothing like
are
that.
sophisticated enough to vary their targets and insert this amount of
Laura, I saw what you
unpredictability, I would love
Making fun of the one-eyed? Despicable. I'm so proud
Wait,
of
when did
you.
I do that?
to see Riley's play replicated. Ultimately, while it could be possible that Riley is using an aimbot, the evidence presented so far hasn't been strong enough to convince me of anything. I would never say she isn't cheating, that's always possible. But given how many misconceptions there are floating around,
That's the big thing that we need to always say, chat. It's like,
Toomsy showed me the joke Reddit.
oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I gotta know exactly what you're talking about. No, but really like with this, like you're innocent until proven guilty, right? Anybody could be cheating at any point. Doesn't matter. It could be anything, right? But like your evidence to prove that they are cheating needs to be really, really strong.
I don't trust much at this point in time. Riley has been streaming many hours each day and showing Task Manager upon request, so if she is using something, she is hiding it very well. There is also a ton of circumstantial evidence being thrown around, like the fact that Riley was banned on Twitch for 1 day, which...
Yeah, okay, let me tell you, chat. They got banned for a day and they also got banned last year as well. But I'll let Karl tell you about it because I'm be real. Do you really trust fucking Twitch to actually be the people that confirm somebody's cheating?
Which could be due to being mass reported. On the flip side,
think so.
Riley hasn't been banned in-game, which could be used as evidence that she isn't cheating,
That's true.
especially given that according to their anti-cheat team, they have already prevented over 300,000 attempts to cheat already. Riley has been banned in the past on Twitch, and
And this one happened back in 2024. They gave them a 7-day suspension, cheating in a multiplayer game. But however, to add to that, you're trusting Twitch to make a call about cheating.
reason given by Twitch was due to cheating. This might be legitimate. Riley may have cheated in some way in some game in the past. Twitch doesn't
Which is
provide
true,
any
maybe.
specific details, so it's up to you whether or not you believe that Twitch is an authority on cheating, and if this ban affects your opinion on current events.
I don't think Twitch is an authority on shit.
I think the biggest determining factor on whether or not you think Riley is cheating will be based on whether or not you think this type of aim is possible. And personally,
yeah,
I
it
can
could be
say that
done.
after looking into the AIM community over the past few months, Riley's clips aren't that insane for someone who specializes in AIM. And when you consider that these
Yeah,
clips are
that's
just
kinda my
a
thing.
1-minute highlight reel of a stream that lasted hours and hours, it's not that shocking. Matty, the aimer who won Red Bull's Ready Check competition, who proved in a LAN event that his aim is far superior to esports pros, who is
Yeah, remember, chat. They'll ban somebody for multiple days for like saying the wrong word or showing VTuber hips. But then when somebody is like an actual fucking horrible person that tells somebody to unalive themselves, they only give them 1 day ban.
Far and away the highest ranked aimer in the world believes that these clips aren't anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah, considering
when
your
the
history
best
of
aimer in
VTubers
the
as
world,
well.
and possibly of all time, believes that Riley isn't cheating, this should give you pause. Of course, this is an appeal to authority, and doesn't prove Riley isn't cheating. But it's a good indication that things might not be as clear-cut as they seem. The AIM community is relatively young, having only really developed in the past few years, so it's understandable that most people don't know much about it. And if it's anything like the speedrunning community, I know from experience that when a niche community
of yours are way more dangerous.
It's
than
other
ours.
people's tips. Like, they keep getting... But the only reason I know so much about the aimbot, or not the aimbot, the aim training is because I've watched Karl's videos on it before.
doing crazy things suddenly gets massive amounts of mainstream attention, there's going to be a lot of...
Twitch is the authority on how not to run a
You're
platform.
so right, you're so right. No, you meant kick. You meant
people
kick.
who simply don't believe it. And that's not only reasonable and understandable, it's to be expected. I won't say if Riley is cheating or not, I'll just say that I'm not convinced she is. What I do know with a high degree of certainty is that the loudest voices surrounding this drama seem to have massive gaps in their knowledge. And I predict in a few years, as the AIM community becomes more widely understood, we might look back at these clips and realize they really aren't anything special at all. Thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you're having a fantastic...
So I think what Karl is trying to put across here is like, you're not gonna know if Riley isn't cheating, right? Because there's literally no way to prove that, right? Anybody can be cheating at any time, but I think that we break it down and look at it, I think it leads more to the fact that they're not cheating. But what do you think, chat? Yeah, what do you think? After seeing it, Ratchet got kick. I don't know what you're talking about. This loud minority are most likely doing it. I mean, I don't know. I want to say that's the case, but obviously the transphobia around this subject was horrible, right? I really think it's cheating anymore, but I'm still caught under lack of recoil. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really know that much to really say whether it is or it isn't, but I think what we were pointing out here is that I don't think I think it points away from them cheating. Like, if you really break it down, you know? Yeah, it's just like, I think to the average person, once again, I'm the average person. And yes, Task Manager does not prove anything either. I don't know, right? So all I can do is look at the evidence and listen to explanations and make my own informed opinion, right? But yes, I7, you can run stuff on a separate PC. There's lots of ways around that. You know what I mean? Plus, the game wasn't beta during the controversy, so it's not that big of a deal. Consider it's on final stage, yeah. I mean, if somebody's cheating in a game, you should, in my opinion, be called out for that. But if you're not cheating and you're just really good at the game, you should appreciate people for that, right? You're not cheat, Battlefield 6 guns on much recoil. Anyway, the flicks of you are not landing on the enemy micro just yet. I mean, that's my thoughts too. They had to overcompensate a lot, missed too many shots. It wasn't like that other guy that like super snaps, right? So I mean, they do aim training, so I think there is definitely like a suspension of disbelief. You know what I mean? Yeah, and some of the other stuff people notice can be cheating. It can be explained to something else. Yeah, I think it's just I think at the end of the day, like Riley has benefited very much for everything, right? Like Riley's gonna really be a full-time streamer because of this. So I think if anything, she benefited from it. You know. I mean, I would say that Karl brings up a good point because people cherry pick the clips. I think that you need to go and actually watch a full stream and decide if that's really what you think, right? Because I'm sure people reported them, and if the game devs aren't banning them, then I mean, that's a good enough reason to be like, well, they're not cheating, you know? So I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to watch this, and obviously I wanted to talk about it with you guys. It's definitely very interesting for sure. So, for the public opinion is BS, and that's how you operate. You might want to look at yourself, yeah, too. But I mean, like, it's important to take in what most people are saying, right? As long as it's not like tribalism, right? Doing streams X is, which means explain the random notepad files of config for games can be explained. That having at least 6 confirmed Steam accounts is why that can be explained, yeah. After playing a lot of Marvel Rivals and catching multiple cheaters, she's not cheating. I mean, different game, right? But nonetheless, there you go, guys. So I wanted to go over and follow up with you. Probably where we'll leave this situation. I don't think we're ever going to really know. Look at what you see in front of you, chat, and make it a decision, but at least make an informed decision. You know what I mean? Make an informed decision. And that's why I wanted to watch this video. Because again, I just didn't know. I didn't know 100%. So, there you go.